Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're watching this podcast. This podcast series we call Race, Culture, and the Church. Race, Culture, and the Church. And we are well over 60 episodes into this series, a series that began 1 week after the murder of George Floyd. And I invite you to go back, look at our archives, and delve into the conversations we have had. Hopefully, very inspiring, provocative, keep you awake at night, if nothing else. But I am pleased. I am over the moon to have another manager from SMUD to join us here in this space, Tara Porter.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Oh, gosh, it's our honor. This was scheduled in the fall of last year. We're now in January 2025. It was on again, off again, schedules, life, all of that good stuff. So welcome in.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you
for having me.
Our honor. So I understand our research team, which is comprised of me, looked at, you were recently awarded, actually along with my wife, at the Exceptional Women of Color annual event, and you were one of 20 or 25 African-American ladies or women of color, and you were awarded, and rightly so, looking at your bio, you have been with SMUD for 25 years, you said?
Yes, 25 years.
And what do you do there at SMUD?
So I'm actually in a new role in the last, I would say, 90 days.
Okay.
I took on a new role as manager of the customer assistance team.
What is that?
That is the team that is responsible for really advocating for the underserved community within Sacramento County. Within SMUD service territory, we also manage the residential programs and do a lot of customer outreach.
So advocacy.
Yes.
So if you advocate for lower rates for someone, or what does advocacy look like at SMUD?
Well, it's really, looking at the affordability of electricity. Electricity is a necessity. And so my team is really trying to reach those that have an energy burden, meaning that their cost of their energy and their overall budget is pretty significant. And we're looking to ensure that those that are income eligible are able to get discounts on their bill or have us come out and help them become more energy efficient, things like that.
Interesting. You've been there all of, you said 90 days? Or no?
In this new role,
yeah.
90 days.
As I like to challenge folks, if you don't have a target to shoot for, to aim for, anything will do. What do you hope to, what will Tara bring to this role? What is your hope for outcome in this position?
Ooh, that's a good question. Really to make an impact. I had started at SMUD in customer service, helping people with their questions and things like that. And I would love to round out my career in that same role, making an impact. I want to be able to look back and have that feel-good feeling for customers that we've been able to help, keep their energy affordable, help electrify their homes, become more energy efficient, those types of things.
And again, I'm asking you all these questions as if you've been in this role for 5 or 10 years or something, but I can only assume that the needs today are different than they were just a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
In what way have you seen the change, if you will, in terms of how folks, I like how you put it, energy is a necessity. It's not a luxury. With that, if it's almost, my words, not yours, if it's a right, then, well, if I can't afford it, do I get it? Those really fundamental issues of life. And again,
Yeah.
you said advocacy. You were
Yes.
bringing advocacy.
Yes. So SMUD is community owned. We don't have shareholders. We're not investor owned. So we're really, providing electricity that is, a necessity to the community. What I would say that we also do, if customers are not able to pay their bill, we're connecting them with local nonprofit agencies. We're reaching to our customers to see if they can contribute to our energy help. We have a program where other customers that may have more income to be able to donate, with customers paying their bills, things like that.
You just made me think of, and you've probably SMUD's already employed this. You have, you're trying to incentivize folks having batteries in their garages or outside their homes to store energy that can be drawn upon in times of need. I wonder if there's an opportunity where you can meet those with storage and basically banking energy to contribute that to those that need energy.
That's an interesting concept.
That kind of, I don't know. I don't know. It'd be like a energy exchange within SMUD's own system. So, well, you can explore it, and just give me attribution. You don't know, no residuals, just nothing else.
That's an interesting concept. I don't know that I've heard that one.
Your family is from Oklahoma?
My family is from Oklahoma.
A Sooner, yeah.
My great-grandfather, not my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my mom's father, was the first Black basketball player for OSU.
No way.
So he was a Sooner,
Oh,
Buddy
wow.
Hudson.
Buddy
Hudson.
That name sounds familiar. That really does. And I cannot say that I was into college sports too deeply, but that name sounds awful familiar. I have to do a little digging on that.
When he passed a few years back, I want to say he passed in 2015.
Okay.
There was some, articles about him. He had a street named after him, really honoring him being kind of that trailblazer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You visit the family homestead from time to time?
Yeah. So growing up, my siblings and I went back every summer. So we would, our grandparents had a 200-acre farm. Our great-grandparents had a 200-acre farm.
200 acres.
200 acres.
What did they grow? Or was
everything. They grew everything. When we were growing up, the only livestock that they had were cattle. But I want to say probably a few acres of every vegetable and fruit that you could think of.
Wow.
They grew.
So summers you were employed but not paid to work on the farm.
Yeah. We would split our time between the city and the country is what we would call it. So my mom's mom, our grandmother lived in the city.
Okay.
And her parents lived out in the country.
Okay.
And so we would spend time with we called her little grandma, and then we called our great grandmother big grandma. We'd go there and
wow. I understand.
Have all homemade rolls, like everything you can think of.
I understand just a little bit. 200 acres. My parents had 11 acres, and that kind of was very formative for me in terms of character, responsibilities, and the like. 200 acres. And if you're there every year, every summer, spending time doing, not obviously this is probably before video games and all that good stuff. You're not doing that. You're out there tending the farm and feeding animals.
Yeah, we would. So our great grandfather would work on his tractor. So he'd go start that tractor up, and we wouldn't want to be stuck in the house with grandma. We want to be out there with him. So, we'd get up and rush and brush our teeth and wash our faces and, be running outside to try to catch the wagon so that we could go off with him and, have a day outside, as opposed to learning all the states and our grandma would, tutoress.
She was holding school.
Yes.
And you were at a vocational school. That sounds like almost idyllic, I don't say Mayberry-like, but it sounds like, boy, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, did your kids get to experience that joy?
No, they didn't.
Aww.
So by the time when I was a sophomore in high school, in 93, my great-grandfather passed away.
Okay.
And from there, my great-grandmother went to live with our great-uncle in Texas, in Houston, Texas. And so we still have the farm, but it was no longer occupied.
Okay.
So by the time I had my children, we go there, anytime that we go back home, what I call it, we take them to just see the land and, all of that. But, there's no one living in the
lives
home.
there now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's
you have memories. Yeah. Really, really is.
My parents do try to bring a little bit of that. They live in Alberta, and they have a garden that they kind of tend to year round. And so, as an example, my sisters live out of state, and they've been known to have the kids come in the summer and plant things and mail it to them. So they try to have a little bit of that, but they don't have the farm life at all.
Yeah. Oh, that cannot help but leak into the personality of what makes Tara Tara, that upbringing. What brought your parents to Sacramento? To Alberta?
My dad has 7 sisters, and back then a couple of his sisters moved to California from Oklahoma for a better life, and my parents followed, and we've been here ever since.
Wow. Wasn't McClellan, Mather, or
no? We actually, our first home was on Amherst in South Sacramento.
Oh yeah, I know it well.
They lived we lived on a little duplex right on Amherst, and we ended up moving to Alberta because they were able to purchase a home, and they wanted to be in a more rural, kind of area, because my
doesn't
mom grew
get
up on
much
a
more
farm.
rural than Alberta.
Yes.
And I can say that because that's where the 11 acres was, Alberta. I went to Rio Linda High School. You went to
Center High School. Center High School. But there's that nexus, Alberta. I'm seeing your shirt, and it says "Justice for Terry" across the front there. Terry, as I understand, and you've shared your story, I really appreciate that, and being open to the story to be able to share it. Terry was your brother. He was murdered in 2017.
August 22nd, 2017, in North Highlands.
Yes.
And you shared some links to some stories, both news articles, news broadcasts, and then also a video from the Sacramento Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
Highlighting his murder and, sadly, the unsolved nature of it.
Yeah.
Just share your brother with us. He was where did he fall in the tribe in terms of age? Was he the older brother, younger brother? He was the only brother.
Yeah, he was the only brother.
Age-wise, he's older than you.
He was younger.
Oh, okay.
So he was the youngest. My sisters and I are all each a year apart.
Okay.
And then I'm the youngest girl. Our brother was 5.5 years younger than me.
Okay.
So we were all his caretakers.
I was going to say he was spoiled. His little brother.
He wasn't a brat though. He was
He's
spoiled.
The only one. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I have a younger brother.
I can still remember teaching him how to walk. Walking through the house with him holding my fingers and teaching him how to walk. But he was amazing. We had a great relationship, all very close siblings. And
he spent time on the OKC farm also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he in one of the videos that I shared with you that the sheriff's department did, there's a picture of him on a tractor.
Yes.
That's on the farm.
Yes.
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 And then there's another picture of him sitting next to our grandmother, our great grandmother, and she's the one that made the potato rolls.
So, young man in the prime of his life, he was murdered at what age?
34 years old.
34. 34. Prime of his life. Literally, right there in the middle. God promises 70 years plus minus 34.
Yeah.
And he's murdered. Knock on the door. There was some noise that he responded to. Someone was laying in wait, and that was it.
That was it.
And nothing, that was in 2017. This is 2025. We're coming up on 8 years, so 7.5 years now.
Yeah.
And no justice, no...
There's been no justice. So when he was murdered, something that really stands out to our mother was the night that the sheriffs, some of the detectives, the chaplain came to their home, our family home, to share the news. They couldn't find a criminal record for my brother. And in the communication, one of the deputies kept asking, well, does he have an alias? You know, they were incredulous that he didn't have a criminal record. They couldn't find him. And one of the detectives, who later became kind of the primary detective on my brother's case, really had to, my mother vividly remembers, he said, this isn't the time. He kind of shut him down. And in hindsight, now we realize that they were looking for a record for him, almost as if he did something that may have caused his murder.
This couldn't be random. There had to be something behind this.
Yeah, we don't think it was random. The person, I believe he was lured outside and his life was taken. They didn't attempt to go in the home. There was nothing stolen. He was home with his oldest daughter and heard something, told her to stay there. He ran out to check, and I believe that he was not going to let anybody come in that house. He was home with this 5-year-old at the time, and they took his life.
So immediately, the days, weeks, months after that, obviously the shock. No one expects their child, their brother, their uncle, no one expects, you're going to be murdered on the steps of your home. After that shock has set in, what did you do as a family in terms of communication with the sheriffs, or what communication came or didn't come your way? Typically, I would think that there's some level of communication with law enforcement. This is where we're at, or not. We've reached a wall, and for the life of us, we can't find anything else related to the case. What was the communication like for you?
So initially, the communication was pretty consistent. The detectives assigned on the case, the sheriff's department has some really good detectives. I will say that. And they're caring people. There was a lot of communication kind of back and forth. One of the detectives talked to me about, things to pay attention to, really guided me. And then they suffered their own tragedy on the day of my brother's funeral on, I want to say it was the 30th of August, they had a deputy that was murdered. And so that really pulled all of their resources and focus towards that particular murder. And the momentum stopped there, I would say within a week. Since then, I've consistently reached out, set up meetings, asked for meetings with the detective team. I've been consistently over the years contacting them. I have met with the district attorney's office to try to get his case moved forward. It's just been me, Tara, consistently reaching out.
Do you have any indication or belief that there's active investigation going on?
No. So I've also, given names of people that they can talk to. I have provided tons of information. It's always been, well, if they want to talk to us, we're happy to talk to them. You can give them my phone number. There hasn't been any proactive outreach, not much. I can tell you that I have spoken to more people than any investigator has.
And what have you discovered? I mean, again, stop me at any point where you don't feel comfortable sharing, but in just you're not a detective, but with your inquiry, there's fruit to be gleaned, if you will. I'm sure.
What I've discovered, without really sharing too much, is that there are a lot of discrepancies in things that people have said that have not been followed up on.
I see.
There are many people that knew my brother that interacted with him on his last day that the sheriff's department should have spoken to. There was a break-in, following his murder that they never followed up on, even though they had forensic evidence on who the person was that broke into the home. They've dropped the ball. I actually have a close family member that's a law enforcement official in the Midwest that has been advising me for many years. He oversees a violent crimes unit in his particular jurisdiction. And so he's given me a lot of information and questions to ask and things that they should have done. The challenge with the county of Sacramento is that there's no transparency. And so anytime that there's an open case, they can't and won't tell you anything. So the family is left in the dark.
There's no freedom of information.
There's no freedom of information. I can't submit a Public Records Act request because it's an open case, even though it's been 7 years and there's been no movement. I hired a private investigator. That was a retired Sacramento Sheriff's homicide detective that they told me as a civilian, he really didn't have access to any of their files or information. It would be a one-way street. Whatever he learned, he could share with them, but they couldn't share information back with him. So they're not doing anything, but they're not giving me the ability to do anything either.
I see.
The FBI, so my family member that is a deputy chief, went through the FBI Academy, got a point of contact with their lab, their forensics lab. The FBI was willing to look at my brother's case for free. It's a service that they provide to any agency across the country. That offer was declined by the Sheriff's Department and the Sacramento District Attorney's Office.
Interesting. it's tantamount to a purgatory. This, dare I say, an open, festering wound that can never heal properly. Because, again, your T-shirt, justice. Given where you're at right now, what is justice? What could you hope for? What does justice look like? And really, how could it be achieved?
Justice, I would say, is accountability. I don't think that my brother's case is a case that can't be solved. But it does require old school police work. It requires following up. It requires looking at the cell phone tower dumps that they did, somebody actually looking at all of the data. It's my understanding that the sheriff's department did kind of a wide net of, kind of containing any information, video footage. Now we're talking about 2017, so
Correct.
The video footage wouldn't be as good as it is today.
Different, yeah.
But cell phone tower dumps, trying to find some sort of connection. It really is going to require somebody digging in, talking to people, following up with the folks that they did interview to see if stories have changed, that kind of thing.
There's no way to put a happy face on something as tragic and life altering as this. Yeah. It just stands alone. Undoubtedly, it is. You have stepped into a role. You've been thrown into a role that. I don't know, maybe it was forged in the 200 acres of the fields of Oklahoma. And now you're in that space and you're trying to harvest a crop. I don't know what an analogy or metaphor would be appropriate. All I know is on a personal, I've suffered an incredible pain, the loss of my daughter, one of my daughters.
Sorry to hear that.
There's no words, none. And people can, then they will say, in an attempt, what I have found, in an attempt to keep from really making themselves feel bad, they'll try and say things so you don't feel bad.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being in that space and just say, I weep with you, I hurt with you, and I can't make it better. But you're a different person now.
I am.
But the person, I guess this is really what I'm trying to say in a ham-handed way, the person you are now was being developed on that tractor in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But you didn't see this coming. You couldn't. You wouldn't. But all of the characteristics that makes Tara were being developed there and is sitting here now, in this space, praying for and with you as you, again, seek justice for your brother.
I appreciate
and
that.
for your, as I've shared, there's one thing, if I remember when I see Jesus, when I see him, one thing I'm asked is like, of all the pains of life, to have a parent to have to go through the burying of a child.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing in the world that I can imagine. And the fact that your parents had to do that, that's incredibly hard.
Yeah. We have always been a very tight-knit family. Terry's absence is very loud. My youngest son will never know him in the physical sense. And, it's just the absence is loud. The impact that this has had on our family has been extremely traumatic. And if there's anything that can come through this is just changes, for families like mine to not have to be stuck in limbo where we're sitting in the dark. We really are helpless because those that are there that are supposed to be seeking justice for us aren't doing that. What accountability, I think, looks like for me is just making changes. I'm only one person. My family is only one family. But I know of 2 other families where these men were murdered within the county within a 45-day period that are still unsolved. African-American men, I think that a lot of the times or oftentimes, if we don't fit the, kind of perfect victim persona,
Correct.
There's not this huge awareness in the media, then it just, nothing happens. They, most cases are solved by people talking. And so I do think that there is a sense of, well, eventually it'll get solved because somebody will talk. And so there's not a huge push or prioritization to investigate beyond a certain short checklist.
It's our pursuit of justice that will both enable us to get through the now and the tomorrow. Tara Porter, thank you so much for entering into this space. I am praying for you, your family, your sisters, your nieces, your nephews, your children. This is very difficult, very difficult.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.